I'm here with Paul Watts, who is currently the CISO at Domino's. Paul, how did you become a CISO?
How did I become a CISO? Well, back in the 80s, there was a film called War Games, which you may or may not remember.
I do, and you're not the first person to say that.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, well, there you go. Well, that's how I got into it. You know, the idea that, a teenager in his bedroom could inflict that so much havoc on society. And then I kind of forgot about it. In the early 80s, unless you worked in the military, there wasn't really a career path. But I've been bitten by the computing bug, so that was it from there on in. And I graduated from university a long time ago. Went into business. Long enough. Went into business intelligence, data warehousing. That was way back in the day when it was a little bit more difficult to do. So I got into the whole data and information thing. Moved into consultancy, rode the dot-com bubble and wave with everybody else, and it burst, and we all fell flat on our faces. Moved into service management, and then moved into disaster recovery, business continuity, working for a financial services outsourcer. And then that segued into an information security job. And I woke up one morning and found myself a CISO. So I don't know what happened, but it was obviously my calling all those years ago, and I ended up doing the job, and there we go. And that's how it happened.
Brilliant. And actually that feels like it's quite topical, because resilience and security as a business continuity function is becoming kind of the topic at the moment.
You talk about confidentiality, integrity and availability, but there's an R word around there now, and it's actually just thinking about the fact that you can't think in terms of, well, it's never going to happen to me, or I have enough controls in my organisation that I won't be breached or I won't be compromised. You have to think more about the fact that it's going to happen, and when it happens, you've got to be ready for it. So you have to protect, which is expecting the unexpected to happen, detecting it quickly, acting swiftly to limit the damage, and you wrap that around the word resiliency. So that's kind of what we find ourselves doing now. And
is this a career path you would recommend to people who are thinking about what they do next?
God, no, you'd be mad. No, absolutely. I mean, the thing about working in information security is we're running alongside businesses now that have become increasingly agile, very happy to consume modern day technologies and capabilities. And CISOs now find themselves being business partners. You know, it used to, back in the old days, you'd walk around with a rule book and you'd whack someone around the back of the head when they weren't toeing the line. Now it's all about adding value and making sure that organisations make fact-based decisions so they balance risk with reward properly. So you kind of find yourself in a bit of a consultative world. I always say to people who work for me and with me that every day is a school day when you work in IT, and information security is absolutely the same. And we don't know what's around the corner. We dealt with WannaCry, not Petya last year, and we all rolled with that and thought about how the world was going to change and reflected on that. We had the problems at the start of the year with problems with microprocessor chips. Who knows what 2019 is going to bring, apart from Brexit? So you never have that same day twice, and that's what I love about it.
And how does a company sell to you? You know, it's a crowded marketplace. CISOs do need products, and there's a lot of them that you will need. But how do you decide which one to go for?
It's really tough at the moment. It is a hugely crowded market. There's lots of boutiques vying and jostling for position amongst the bigger organisations who have grown and adapted through a lot of M&A activity. And it really is a buyer's market. So, I feel for vendors who are in that space trying to upsell or even just sell to the likes of myself. I do struggle with that crowded market. You have a mixture of people who are, I wouldn't say passive, but more interested in what you're doing, and they're trying to hang the solution to your problem. Mm-hmm. Then you have others that just tell you you've got a problem and here's the solution, and it's a little bit over aggressive. And I tend to be quite turned off by that. I like to look for organisations who want to strike a partnership with me and come with us on the journey and draw a little bit of understanding of what I'm trying to do as a business, what keeps me awake at night, and offer me the right tool for the job. We all talk to each other as CISOs within the community. We know what works, we know what doesn't work. And I think it's just finding a blend of that. But I really am not a fan of the cold email out of nowhere, straight in the bin, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I think you guys get a lot of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So what does keep you up at night at the moment?
Number one, no, I mean it's been a funny old year. You know, we've had the General Data Protection Regulation coming in, and at the start of the year, my former employer, we were looking at the Networks and Information Security Directive. Brexit is a concern. So, what are the challenges that we've got? We're working in a stronger regulatory landscape in a country that is trying to disconnect itself from a relationship that we've had for many years, driving a lot of uncertainty into the labour market, driving a lot of uncertainty into the commercial market. We are finding ourselves in a world where we're adopting technologies quicker than we can understand them, and as CISOs we feel a little bit accountable to bring some sense to all of that in our world, and that's quite challenging. I never know what the next day is going to bring. Things move so quickly now in terms of threats and opportunities, but it's exciting as well in a funny sort of way. I think 2019 is going to be the aftermath of GDPR, understanding where we are, following that, and worrying about really what is going to happen after Brexit. I hate to bring it up, but we're going to operate in a different world, potentially standing on our own 2 feet as a country, as the United Kingdom. And is that going to change our threat landscape? Are we going to have to worry about things in a different way? It's a lot of, I guess, wrapping all that up, fear and uncertainty and doubt, and we've got to navigate our way through that and come out as a strong country and a strong trading partner.
And Brexit aside, if you're looking at that threat landscape across the next year, what do you think we're going to see more of?
I think we're going to see more of data becoming an asset of a marketable value, both to legitimate interests and to illegitimate interests. I think society is going to take an even tougher line with organisations who don't provide adequate assurances over the data that we hold about them. I think data citizens are more interested in what organisations are trying to do. We're riding the aftermath of the Cambridge Analytica and Facebook scandal, if you want to call it that. And I think organisations that live and thrive on marketing data and trying to exploit value from that data have really got to think about the implications of their actions. There are red lines now, and we can't cross them as organisations and as industries, because I think we'll be penalised by our consumers. So you've got to tread that fine line now.
And do you think next year we'll see the first enforcement of GDPR, first fines to come through?
I think we should step away from the fear of enforcement. The Information Commissioner, and I'm paraphrasing it, has made many observations about the fact that we're on a journey. If we completely obsess ourselves with the ramifications of fines, we're not really true to the objectives of the General Data Protection Regulation, which is for businesses to recognise their responsibilities when they're dealing with data, pertaining to digital citizens, and it should be more about going on that journey. Obviously, we're all looking for the first organisation to fall foul of that, but I try not to think about that, and I try to think about actually the positive benefits of GDPR for everybody, and how you can work with the regulation and still deliver positive outcomes for consumers.
And do you feel you guys have managed that? There's some positive outcomes from this year?
Well, yeah, I mean, my organisation is a very data-driven organisation. We have a very honest and open relationship with our customers, and in return for that, we build a one-to-one relationship with our brand. So the consumer gets the products that they want, and we get good feedback from our customers, and we're able to, optimise, tune, and change those products to suit the market at any given time. So it's a two-way thing. But we're respectful of the customer, and the customer's not interested in conversing with us anymore. That's fine. We've strengthened the way that we discard customer data, complying with the wishes of consumers, and everybody benefits from having that open and honest relationship, I think. So, yeah, we've spent a lot of time working on GDPR this year, and we've integrated it very well in our business. As we were saying earlier, we've had a second company-wide GDPR day, so we're trying to keep the business interested in what it's all about, and actually, there's a prize there. Good information governance delivers, better benefits to organisations, much richer, more efficient use of information, easier to comply with regulatory requirements, and easier to manage customers' expectations when it comes to handling their personally identifiable information. So, there is a prize, and we keep our eye on that when we're having those conversations in our business.
I think that's a brilliant way to look at it. Well, thank you very much for speaking with me this evening. I think that's been a really good insight into some of the things that you've got going on.
Cool.